I'm Turk Strongman, current resident at Mind Voltage Institute. Thank you for sitting in. Currently, I'm with uh, Allison Morton, an associate of mine. We're having a casual conversation where we're about to concerning the worldwide phenomena of drones flying in our skies, most notably in the United States. To date, involves the state of New Jersey, the skies over New Jersey. Drones. Now they're just talking aliens involved or extraterrestrials, perhaps even alien species. The United States government about to make a full disclosure about it, or the Pentagon already maybe possibly issuing a warning to the public because apparently there's an alien or extraterrestrial mothership nearby or showing up somehow, and that I've heard some pluses and minuses about what the agenda here is, and apparently some factions of our governmental influences here in the United States have made some deals and so forth. In other words, like things about the UFOs and aliens are about to come to a head. Mm-hmm. Starting as far as we know with these drones, just like an infestation of drones in the skies. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Very well. And I'm going to assume that everybody else here is aware of it too. Now, do you know any more about it than what I just said?
No.
Are there concerns that you can feel that arise in your mind over that? Like, well, we were talking yesterday, you and I, about not being able to know what's really happening, not being able to know the truth, especially by now at this point, mm-hmm. and especially about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that, the emphasis here at Mind Voltage Institute. Our concerns are not with UFOs. It's not our theme here. It's not our topic, right? No. Consciousness hijacking is very important here for us.
Yes, it is.
Perception deception. Okay, so it seems to me, do you agree, Allison, that not being able to really know what's happening here now was just one category now of phenomena. That there must be some sense, some perception deception going on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's our concern.
Yes.
All right. And consciousness hijacking, yeah. Does it seem to you, did it ever occur to you that when I tend to boil things down to matters of, well, consciousness hijacking and perception deception, that's maybe oversimplifying affairs? Like, in other words, your comeback might be, well, this guy, okay, everything comes down to those two things again. Things are more complicated than that. That's too simplified. Yeah. That doesn't cover everything. That's like he's trying to reduce it down to something that's easy to talk about, mm-hmm. reducing the numbers of things, but that just leaves stuff out and that need to be considered. Does it seem like that?
Yes.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
Well, you never told me that before. Well, let me explain. It does simplify things by way of composition and generalization. You take a look at some specific case of somebody's mind or their thinking or their mental direction veering off in some way that they had not intended. Mm-hmm. Because some distraction happened or some marketing happened or some other influences came along. Now things are redirected.
Yeah.
Okay. and possibly, the person realizes that's happening and says, well, I hope this is not going to go very far over here in this redirected manner. But then, something else comes along before you can get back on track from the first one and pushes you off track again from the off track.
Yeah.
From the off track to another off track. And,
Yeah.
Okay. So there's consciousness hijacking going on,
Yeah.
right? That's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I just group them all, generalize, like have the picture of that and generalize it so that my acceptance into that kind of phenomenon, other things that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just creating a general category, okay? And then I'm grouping things into it. I'm not breaking things apart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ungrouping.
Yeah.
I'm grouping, so I'm composing them together.
Right.
Composition rather than division.
Yeah.
Rather than dividing things up into smaller and smaller, unique pieces and individual. We're packing it all together.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it does so happen
Mm-hmm.
that consciousness hijacking and perception deception very much simplify how we talk about these affairs.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a lot to unpack from each one. And
Yeah.
it might seem oversimplified to just group things like that. But these do happen to be two very basic, fundamental things that are at the root of all the rest.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. It's not an oversimplification as in a gross one or an uninformed one, a naive oversimplification.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Yeah.
in dealing with things and being able to talk about consciousness hijacking and perception deception, that's also base level that we can do something about them.
Mm-hmm.
We can figure out how to circumvent them, how to overcome them, those two things.
Yeah.
And then build on that, starting at the basics,
Mm-hmm.
from identifying the main categories of bullshit.
Yeah.
Consciousness hijacking and perception deception.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that level of understanding them, grouping them together, have antidotes, have what to do, or just have the things that should be happening instead.
Yeah.
All being the same things, a couple of things, just different
Yeah,
ways
right.
to describe them.
Yeah.
And then build on those,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Now you're back into the fuller picture.
Yeah.
All the different kinds of scenarios, all the different factors involved.
Right.
They can be reduced down to like, well, how do we do all of this? Reduced down to where we started when we translated from consciousness hijacking and perception deception over into what to do.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we're starting with many, boiling down to two,
Mm-hmm.
switching over to a different mode of talk about those, right?
Right.
And then coming back to the many
Yeah.
to apply. So it's not an oversimplification.
Right.
It's not one of negative consequence to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not worth considering. So we're good.
Yeah.
We're good here.
Yeah.
Now back to the whatever. What are those things called? Probes. Drones. All right. Now. So, yeah. These are affairs that have been kept quiet, hushed, skewed.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of perception deception
Yeah.
just in how these things are talked about in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the United States anyway, right?
Yeah.
And things that are probably right now involved that even the Pentagon has said something about now, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of room here for the conclusion to be formed that
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
it's quite likely that very few people have any awareness of what's really going on, no matter what is being said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right away, we have more perception deception.
Mm-hmm.
What about people What about this? What does this have to do with our interests here at Mind Volties Institute? Like the development of our true selfhood, okay, or the mastery of self by self, or our own self-managed personal evolution. Well, there are a lot of ways to go to talk about that, but here's one that's very relevant here, which you've heard me talk about before, Allie.
Yeah.
Everyday affairs, you may say, or any of you may say, in everyday affairs, I do not need any greater mastery over myself, or let alone do something like develop true selfhood and then have self-mastery by the true selfhood self being the master of ourselves. And so ourselves is self, on and on, right? Okay. Well, in order to get through the day, I don't need that.
Yeah.
So, not in my concerns.
No.
All right. But we here, have not limited affairs to that level of discourse, that level of concern in a person, or potential concern for a person in his life or her life.
Yeah.
Okay, well then what about this? How well is a person self-managed, self-controlled, clear thinking, and so on, if, say, an event occurred tomorrow, unlike anything that this person, you, has ever experienced, or really ever expected to experience, or could possibly know what it's like to experience. Like a sky crowded with drones buzzing around, all at about the same altitude. What about that? Have you ever seen that? Have you been alive when that has happened one day?
Honestly, no, I haven't.
No, you haven't. Okay, well, what if right now, let's say, it involved the Pentagon issues a warning, it flashes across social media, people are out walking in the streets talking about it, and they're looking up at the sky, and this is happening. And people are even starting to argue, maybe, right there down the street, on the sidewalk, about what this is. You know, what somebody said, and maybe what we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to think about it.
Yeah.
Like a warning, right, from the Pentagon. Now, the Pentagon, that's the war building, right?
Yeah.
And the Pentagon issues a public warning.
Yeah.
Well, then that sounds like we're supposed to hate them.
Yep.
We're to be afraid.
Yeah.
Or we're to be aggressive.
Yep.
And, okay, but then what about what somebody else heard lately and talked to me about? We were talking about this about a week ago.
Yeah.
This individual said, I've heard, and it's been discovered by somebody who has met these aliens, which can be anywhere from 3 feet tall to 8 feet tall, that they do not mean us harm. And they've been here for a long time, and they've been living underground, you know, subterranean.
Yeah.
They are alien.
Yeah.
But they're not extraterrestrial, at least not for a long time. They haven't been. They've been here. They're terrestrial.
Yeah.
And they're subterranean. And now that's going to change. They're going to, but they're afraid of us.
Yeah.
And so they're sending out drones to see how we're going to react to affairs. And, pretty soon our own government is going to introduce them to us, and it's going to be, like they're not here to hurt us. Let's not hurt them. They're afraid we're going to hurt them. So they're being really cautious about this. Okay, I've heard that too. So there we have an example, right?
Yeah.
Of if I were to buy into one of these two stories, either one, probably I'm just allowing my consciousness to get hijacked. Because I have no clue. You have no clue. And I bet you, I'm willing to say, willing to stick my neck out, that none of you really know how to identify the one case from the other case right now. And you probably won't. If those are the only two options to go with, it's going to be very difficult to know which one corresponds with the facts of the world.
Yeah.
Right? But how many more of those explanations are there going to be, those descriptions, those pronouncements, those declarations? And Sarah, that's just one of thousands of things that will be at play.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what did I say about they're afraid of us? I'm thinking that doesn't even make sense in itself.
No,
Now,
it doesn't.
we're coming to a point here about consciousness hijacking and perception deception. Okay? I'm coming to a point. We're working with like reasons for the point that we're coming to. They're afraid of us.
Yes.
But supposedly also they are, I forget what it is, 2,000 years ahead of us in intelligence development and technology development.
Yes.
Brain power,
Yes.
mind power,
Yes.
and technology, or 20,000 years ahead, or what was it, 2,000 light years ahead? There's two something with some zeros.
Yeah, it was 2,000 light years ahead.
2,000. Well, that was the most extreme I've heard. Well, let's go with the minimum. 2,000 years ahead.
Yeah.
Of human intellectual development and technological development.
Yeah.
Let's consider how this development goes. If you move from an IQ, an intelligence quotient of 100, which that used to be what was considered the average, right? But it has increased. I don't know, 110, 115 by now, maybe 120. Okay, but let's just start with 100 here, and let's add on a quotient of 50. So now we're talking about an IQ of 50.
Yeah.
Okay, that was adding 50 and increasing some person's intelligence, whoever's IQ we're talking about,
Yeah.
by 1/2.
Yeah.
Okay, now if we add on another 50,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between the 150 and the 200 now
Yeah.
is going to be greater than the distance between the 100 and the 150, even though we've only added on another 50.
Right. Yeah.
For one reason, is because the second 50 is going to be added to an IQ of 150 rather than of 100.
Yeah.
Well, an IQ of 150, acquiring another 50,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be able to assimilate and employ that other 50 better,
Yeah.
more intelligently,
Yeah.
toward a greater end than the
Yeah.
person starting with only the 100.
Right.
Okay, also, the further we move from the normal,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the 100, to some extremity,
Yeah.
the more each additional IQ point means.
Mm-hmm.
It gets stronger.
Yeah.
So, bearing these things in mind, let's just quantify our race's current intellectual development.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that's 100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You add 2,000 years
Yeah.
of intellectual development to that. Bearing that in mind, okay?
Yeah.
2,000 years of intellectual development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the last 20 years or so, or 30 years, has seen an increase in the average IQ.
Yeah.
From 100 to 115. Let's just 120.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was in 30 years.
Yes.
Now let's consider 2,000 years.
Yeah.
At an increasing pace of that happening,
Mm-hmm.
given the factors I've just said.
Yeah.
It's going to go along faster and faster.
Yeah.
Okay, now then consider that intelligence.
Yeah.
And the same with technological development.
Right.
Technological development that goes along with 2,000 years ahead of our intellectual development, corresponds.
Yeah.
Okay, so consider that technological development. And they are afraid we might hurt them.
Yeah. Right.
Get my point? And they are afraid
Yeah.
that we might hurt them.
Yeah. That's That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense. No. Unless we're talking about one little baby one that happens to be left out at Times Square and a cab runs over it or somebody stomps on it thinking it's a deformed sewer rat.
Yeah, right.
No, it sounds like they would, like the whole bunch of them have been like shy.
Yeah.
And they're just like snooping around and, being real cautious. Because they're afraid we're going to hurt them.
Yeah, right.
I can understand the level of talk at which that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
They don't want to get hurt. Nobody get hurt, right?
Yeah.
Nobody get hurt at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. But when we say they're coming to hurt us,
yeah.
we're not talking about that level of discourse. We're talking about like a major fucking injury to the human race.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so now we're just saying the same back. Like they are afraid we're going to hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can make a major puncture.
No. I don't think so.
With them being that far more developed.
No.
Intellectually. And technologically. So there. Again. What do we know?
Yeah, right.
What can we rely on?
You can't rely on
It's easy to believe, if it's on the news, that they don't mean to hurt us.
Yeah.
They don't intend us harm. There will be people who believe that. And then there will be people like me who will say, okay, well, that's really nice. And I would like that to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Consciousness hijacking, perception deception. Here's what we can do. Here's what's of our concern here. Okay? To be aware of this entire situation enough and clearly enough such that we can just be ready and prepared, take precautions that we can take. Like those having to do with, Ali, do you agree with me? Just like basic needs, like have a bug out bag in case something happens, like troops are marching around, or just think of the possible scenarios that you can do something about physically and get prepared for physically.
Yeah.
Like you have to get out of your house. It's on fire.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
See, now you're going to in other words, the result here is that you're going to have to leave your house. You're going to have to leave now. And you're not going to come back. Mm-hmm. So whatever you take out right now is what you're going to have.
Yeah.
Everything, your whole house, everything, you're about to walk out.
Yeah.
And whatever you take out the door with you is just what you're going to end up with. You're not coming back, and you don't know where the hell you're going.
Yeah.
So you have a bug out bag.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe have some food stored. A long-term food storage thing and water storage in your home.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take that with you if you have to go, but if you don't have to go, at least you have that.
Yeah.
Or just imagine this. Just consider this, Allison. In 2 weeks from now, within 2 weeks, the Pentagon, the United States government, and major network news will broadcast there is an alien invasion. H.G. Wells, a good while back, instigated quite a stir-up.
Yeah.
But he was just a radio broadcaster.
Right.
Well, now we're talking about the Pentagon in the United States.
Yeah.
I think that would stir up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. So let's just say like a week from now, we go to the grocery store, or we go online, or we go to the local sporting goods store to get some water, clean water to drink, or buy a backpack and start making a bug out bag. But suddenly we discovered they're not available.
Mm-hmm.
They've been all sold out.
Yeah, right.
And distributors for each of these places. Well, the store just doesn't know when there are going to be any more. There's not any scheduled next shipment of them, but there usually isn't.
Yeah.
And just show up if they show up.
Yeah.
Well, for in the store.
Yeah.
What if? Okay? All right? And then, once prepared for such things, okay, eventualities, just like locking your door at night before you go to bed, then you don't have to be concerned in any standard, normal, everyday sense of the word about concerned with somebody coming into your house at night.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you do, and then you can put it out of your mind, right?
Yeah.
And go on with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? Being prepared like this for just a few eventualities, it's being responsible for your survival at the physical level.
Yeah.
Do those things, and then don't give it much more thought.
Yeah.
But what about our minds?
Yeah.
What are we prepared for with that? It's not easy to prepare for something like a bug out bag once the bug out bag items are all gone from all the stores.
Yeah.
And there aren't any. Things fall apart before any more can even arrive at stores. Stores close. Who knows? Things like that. Right now, that could start in a week.
Yeah.
From now, it could.
Yeah.
It could. Eventually, something like that's going to happen. It will. It will. Right?
Yeah.
So what kind of prepared are we, really? The only thing that is of our concern here about all this is, go ahead, give it its attention as due, in order to be prepared at some levels that aren't that hard to prepare for, right? At least the physical ones. And then don't worry too much about it, because if you get caught up in the distraction of trying to figure out what's really going on, or what the truth is on any phase of this thing, pretty much no questions over the entire phenomena or about them are going to be answered to with something reliably the truth.
Yeah.
Something that actually corresponds with reality. It would probably be a coincidence if that would happen.
Yeah.
Even though, it's being opened up, it's being exposed, it's being, brought forth. The government's coming forward now. Well, they've done that before, including when they said there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
That was them being on the level. All right. So don't buy into anything, really, about it.
No.
Do what you can to protect yourself, just in case, because you don't know. Why act like there's nothing? No, be aware that there is something. Yes. But do what you can, and then get past it. I mean, the more they're doing any much more is going to require you to know more factual information. But you're not going to have that. Not really. No. And don't let yourself get deceived into some track of thinking, just because it's easy and because you keep hearing it, or people are going down that line of thinking about it. No. Don't go overboard here, man. Don't get excited. Don't get excited and then get on with affairs. But you need to continue to evolve yourself very, very deeply. And that is also our concern here. The mastery of self by self. Establishment of selfhood. Self-managed, self-propelled, self-willed personal evolution. I mean, just given the seeming event or set of events or phenomena taking place right now that we used in our big example here, right? Just in this discourse. There's plenty of reason there to have to evolve pretty fast. It's a perfect time, I tell you. Okay. Do you have any questions about it?
No.
Have I seemed to cover what you would expect to cover? Do you have are there any concerns about the whole thing that I haven't addressed right now?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, well, good. Thank you, Allison.
No.
It's a pleasure to talk with you today.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, welcome.
All right, now. Well, there we have it. We thank you for tuning in, sitting in. Okay? I'm Turk Strongman, current resident at Mind Voltage Institute. I think we got that pretty well covered. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Okay, you guys, any comments, make them below, courteously. Remember to subscribe to the channel, get notified, share the joy of the channel with others, thumb up, and we'll see you next time.